Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
The Giving Tree. You. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds. Back again with Salt Strong Unchurched. So pumped. Took a week off. Thank you guys. Down in Boca Grande with the family. Had such a good time with the wife, the kids. Some of our best friends came along with their family. And even though it got a little cold a couple days and a little windy a couple days, man, we just had the time of our lives. It is something special to have really close friends that you like, can trust, can stay up late and, play cards and just have real conversations, real relationships. We've talked about it countless times. And I'm also excited to see my kids have those same experiences. There's nothing better than having a family that has kids where there's no drama and there's not, fighting and crying and all the stuff that happens with, in general with younger kids and now even a teenager with Shauna. It really just was special. We came away from that for being gone a week. Normally you're stressed out and kind of need a break from a break and you're just kind of worn out. We just came home just, feeling rejuvenated and really, really good. So I hope if you're able to take a spring break with your family, if you're in that phase of your life, that it's enjoyable. If not, maybe you're retired and going out and doing fun stuff yourself. Find good people. There is nothing else like it. Now, I'm bringing this up because on that trip, I read, I'm not going to say the most powerful book I've ever read because I've read a lot of powerful books, but certainly my favorite and most emotionally charged book I've read in a year or two for sure. And I don't believe I've cried so much reading a book. And I think part of it was because there was a piece of what God's calling me to do or to become better at. And maybe you shared this with me, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And just the way this was written in the story, and the book is called Theo of Golden. Theo of Golden. If you like reading books, I can't recommend this one enough. It is a fictional book. I thought maybe it might have been based on a true story. It's not, but I'm talking, I don't know anyone who could read this and not at least tear up a little bit on multiple times. I'm not going to ruin the story for you, but it is powerful. Crazy twist ending. It was just so good. I want to, and I've already bought a couple of these and just given them to people that I know will actually take the time to read it and will love it. Theo of Golden. And I wanted to call this title of the podcast Living or How to Live Larger Than Life, because that was how they explained this guy Theo at the end of the book. Not to ruin this whole premise of the podcast today, but it is about giving, about being generous, about giving all that you can and then some. That we've talked about it before on past podcasts, that you can't outgive God. And as I was reading this book, the way this guy Theo did things and went out of his way to listen to people, and most of these things he was doing were not very expensive. A couple $100 at the most. And yet he changed like an entire town, one person at a time. And sometimes they were free. Sometimes it was literally just taking the time to listen to someone and to tell them they look good or to compliment on their hat or their shoes or their bike or whatever it was. It was really wild how, even though this guy did have money to do it, it turns out, you don't know that till the end, not to spoil the whole thing, but he didn't have to use a ton of money to make a massive, massive impact in an entire community, which is really wild. And there is one part, I'm just going to read here from the book, where there was a lady who was having to assist him, and she did not want to assist him, but because of the situation, you'll read in the book, she was, I would describe her as someone that you've maybe met. She was an assistant to like an executive, and you just guarded that door like a bloodhound, or what am I looking for here? A hound dog or a bulldog, and just was grumpy and didn't smile and just didn't have a ton of joy in life, I guess is the nicest way to say it. And I'll read this part. So in the process of her having to get involved with him giving, because he wanted to do all these little surprises to people, And he would have to get her involved because he didn't want his name associated with it because he was giving anonymously. And in the process, their surprise and their happiness became hers. She wondered if she was feeling, in some measure, the pleasure that Theo had tried to describe to her about these bestowals. And when the recipients opened their gifts at Christmas, she was at home imagining their delight and vicariously sharing it with them. So this woman had her entire life changed just by being part of the process of helping other people in this whole generosity thing. And I don't know, it was just an amazing, amazing book. And as I said, I felt like God was tugging at my heartstrings. Probably one of the things I struggle with sometimes is just giving generously. And not that I don't, we do. But I will say there's been times where I did not do it generously, where I'm like, well, why are we going to do it without getting a write-off? I mean, that's not generously to be able to do something without a write-off and without any recognition. That's being 100% generous with your giving. And I struggle with that sometimes. I think maybe it's just part ego, part just how I'm wired, but just being completely transparent. And maybe you're like me. That's something I've just always kind of struggled with. It's the first thing that kind of comes out of my mouth with my wife, because she's the opposite, where she does a lot of giving and she doesn't want even people to know about it. And I was like, well, can't we get a write-off? Come on, let's get that write-off. And she's like, no, why would we? This is not about a write-off. This is about doing the right thing for someone in need. And I always come around, but my initial reaction is not that. And so for me, this was a really, really, really powerful book. And the crazy part, let me go find it. I had it up earlier. I took a screenshot of it while I was in the bathroom. Not to give you too much of my personal life, but I do read the daily Bible, usually in the bathroom. And it happened to be the Proverbs of the morning. And I finished the book, no lie. So this is the Proverbs 11-24 through 26. One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. People curse the one who hoards grain, but they pray God's blessing on the one who is willing to sell. Talk about one final dagger to Joe Simons after reading this book, and I'm a little like crying. And then I go read the Bible. I finished the book in the morning and I read the Bible. I'm like, oh my gosh, one person gives freely yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly but comes to poverty. Woo! And here's the coolest part. I'm going to tie this even back into how this whole thing started with vacation. So I'm there with my buddy. I won't mention his name. But we ended up meeting a guy who knows my new boss of all world. Like, the guy lives in Michigan. We're on Boca Grande. I meet this guy. And so it's me and my buddy and this guy talking. And it was interesting just watching. And I noticed my friend is really just good at this, where he listens very intently. And he's like, he's listening for things where he can chime in to help. Where I'm personally listening to things like, how could I ask a question or how could I tell a story that's similar, right? Not like one up them, but like, oh yeah, like this. Whereas my buddy is constantly, he's like scanning his brain in ways that he can help someone. And it happened like multiple times during this, 45 minute conversation. And I'll give you like an example. The guy had mentioned he had some grandkids that were into Legos. And first thing Zane's like, well, hey, like we live in Legoland. We have a little guest house. I could take you guys out in the boat. You guys, you have to come to Legoland. Like stuff like that. It didn't cost him any money to say that, right? It didn't, it might have cost him a little bit of boat gas, and I can't imagine the person's going to go use his guest house. But the fact that he even brings it up, it's the first thing out of his mouth. And little examples like that happen over and over again, where he's just like, oh, well, yeah, you got to check out this. Or, oh, if you're in this area, like this is the best restaurant. He's just constantly trying to add value to people. And what's interesting, I don't know anyone who can say anything bad about this person, about my friend. Everyone, when they describe him, it's not like great guys. Like that guy is fantastic. He's amazing. And I really do believe because he's so generous with his thoughts and his reaction and his conversations with people. it really is a special gift. And so all this has happened at the same time. I'm on vacation. I'm getting to hear how he's just chatting with people and always helping. I'm reading Theo of Golden, which is all about giving. And I call this thing the Giving Tree because that was one of my favorite books growing up. Apparently, I listened to it well, but I didn't follow every little piece about being the Giving Tree. It was more like the boy who was wanting more and more and more. But all that being said, it's at the top of my head right now, and it's on my heart right now. And I was talking with my mom because she's the one that gave me the book Theo of Golden, so thank you, Mother. And we were just talking about some of these things that I'd struggle with giving and being generous without getting recognition or a write-off. And she's like, it's even the small stuff. And then I've been doing, she's been doing about just, when you see someone who's in need, that's your server, just tipping, 40% sometimes, just to help them out. I did it today, not to brag, but it's this guy at the car wash here in Winter Haven. I see him every time. And I go to this car wash quite a bit. I'm too cheap to go to the expensive one. It's a pretty affordable one. But he's the guy always there, just kind of, buffing the car off and drying it off when it's done. Out in the sun all day, every day. I ended up chatting with him last time, and it was right around Christmas. And he had mentioned that he couldn't go home to Mexico with his family because maybe some issues. I don't know what all was, but his wife was able to go, and he was kind of distraught. And so I gave him a big tip, and guys started tearing up. I was like, oh man. He's like, you don't know how much this means to me. And so I did it again just here this week. And same deal. And he's wanting to tear up again. He's like, man, you take such good care of me. And I don't, he didn't know my name. I don't know his name. Only met him a couple times. I always see him out there. And it's just those little things where an extra, $20 tip just made this guy's entire day, who might be living paycheck to paycheck. I don't know his whole story. Based on this book, Theo Golden, I might go try to find it out and learn a little bit more. The Theo of Golden really, really will inspire you to just go out of your way to learn about people, to help people, to listen. That's what Theo basically did, was just listen to stories of all these different people that he got to meet in town as he was gifting him things. And he would remember things like small stuff like, this person is into this, or this person likes this sort of art, or he plays this sort of cello and he needs a certain type of bamboo for, I'm messing up the part of the story, but he was just so awesome and so giving. So I wanted to share that with you. It was really been on my heart. And this was one of those books that really caught me by storm. Like I said, it's not often that I'm crying reading a book, especially, one that I'm sitting on vacation on the beach. And I was just like, wow, this thing is hitting. So Theo of Golden, go get it. Be a giver. The best part is I described, my buddy, all that stuff he was giving just verbally, it was free. People love him just because he's constantly going out of his way to just tell people nice things. Oh, you look good. I love those shoes. I love those earrings. Love your new haircut. You look great. Look like you lost some weight. Those are all things that are completely free. I said it to someone recently, and it was 100% sincere. I hadn't seen her in a while, and she had lost some weight. It turns out it was 28 pounds, almost 30 pounds. And I just hey, you look so good. You look like you lost a lot of weight. And she, you could see she just lit up. She's like, I have. She was dying to tell me. Once I said something, it's almost been 30 pounds, lost 28 pounds, and blah, blah, blah. I feel better than ever. I was like, that's so awesome. And I know that I could tell just how it made her day, even though she'd already lost the weight. She did the hard part. I didn't do anything but just give her one compliment. And it's amazing how one small compliment like that, which was completely free and took all of a few seconds, that's another form of just giving. It's a different form. It's not one that you're going to write off per se, or have your name on the side of a building or a school. But man, talk about making a real difference in real people's lives. So go out, practice it, do good unto others, be the giving tree. And I love you guys. Hopefully this was an impactful one. If you've read the book, let me know. Shoot me an email, joe@saltstrong.com. If you've read Theo of Golden. If you haven't, go out and get it. And then let me know what you think about it, if you liked it as much as I do. Such a good book. joe@saltstrong.com is my email. I appreciate you guys. Love you. And I'll talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul. fishing in her soul.